Okay, so welcome back to my channel. I'm just going to jump right into my recap of Marry My Husband, Season 1, Episode 3. So it picks up where Episode 2 left off, where Min-won is in Ji-won's apartment, and he's trying to seduce her, and she is just not for it at all. And so, if ever somebody was saved by the bell, it was Ji-won. So next thing you know, there's a ring at the door. She jumps up, she basically pushes him out the way, runs to the door as fast as she can, and it's a delivery guy. And he's, he has this order, and he's asking her if she ordered, going down the order. And of course, she's confused, like, no, I didn't order anything. Min-won is actually upset, like, man, no, nobody ordered anything. Get out of here. Like, he's trying to make the man go away. But he, insisted more than I think a delivery person would now in hindsight. And so he was like, okay, well, I'm going to go double check and I'll be right back. And so, of course, Min-won was like, no, don't come back. We didn't order anything. Just go away. So at this point, Min-won, he's fully dressed, obviously, at this point, and he's in front of Ji-won. And so she took that opportunity to push him right on out the door and slam the door, and she locked it. So she's texting him basically saying that she can't do this, that she needs time, and da-da-da-da-da. And so he reluctantly said, oh, okay, well, I understand they're texting each other. And he left. Now, judging by his previous reactions with her, I feel like this may have been a situation where things could have gone horribly wrong because he's not a patient or understanding kind of person. We already see his character. So if she had rejected him, we don't know how this would have turned out. So the delivery driver showed up just in time. So as he was leaving, we see the delivery driver. He's across the street watching Min-won leave, but you also see him standing with Mr. Hugh. So Mr. Hugh sent the delivery driver to disrupt whatever was going on in there. So it's giving you an inkling that there's more to him than me. See, I seem like he knew something might possibly happen, and he sent the delivery driver to kind of run interference. And so the delivery driver was like, oh, well, it took him a long time to come out. If he didn't come out, then I would have gone back up there. So they part ways. He goes back to the restaurant, and him and his the guys getting into it, like, man, where were you? We had deliveries, da 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 da. And so the delivery driver was basically like, well, it's something strange. I don't know why he asked me to, do this, fake delivery. And, he also called me to ask me to look into a guy. So if you remember in episode 2, where Mr. Yu called someone and said, I need you to look up somebody that went to school with Ji-won. And that's how he found, is it Yoon-ho, the chef. So the next scene is Yoo-ho. He's at the restaurant. He's working on some kind of recipe or something. And so a guy comes in who it looks like he's the owner or something, and they're having a conversation, and he tells him that he already found somebody to cover for him on Sunday, that there's this class reunion that he's gonna go to. And the guy was like, well, basically telling him, well, that's good. And they're talking, they're talking about kind of sort of his past, about the woman that kind of crushed him, broke his heart, it might be there, da da da. And then, of course, he ended up asking him, well, how did you find out about this reunion anyway? And so then it flashed back to Yoon-ho when Mr. Hugh went to the restaurant, and it kind of goes into that conversation they had. He told him about the reunion, and basically, wanted him to be there. And so he started talking about the person that broke his heart. And then there's a flashback of him when he was younger in high school. And you see Ji-won and Soo-min standing there. And he just asked the question, like, why did you do that? Or how could you do this? And you don't really know who he's talking to. So the next scene is the reunion. So there's some back and forth going here. So it's the day of the reunion. Soo-min shows up, and you see all of the mean girls and, the classmates that showed, like, doting on her, like, oh my God, you look so great, da 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 da. And so now they're sitting down, and of course, she was like, well, people were congratulating her, and she was like, well, with Ji-won's support, things are kind of working out, and the mean girl was like, basically asking her, like, why are you still talking to her? And, of course, Soo-min is a master manipulator and liar, and as we find out. Well, we already knew that, but some more details, come out about stuff that she's lied about. And so, one lie she told was that she got Ji-won the position at the current company and how Ji-won is the contractor and da-da-da-da-da. When she's actually the contractor, Ji-won got her the job. And then she mentioned Min-won as if there's some relationship between her and Min-won, and kind of Ji-won is kind of attracted to him too. And of course, the girls are getting more and more agitated. Basically, like, again, like, why are you even talking to her? And so the next thing you see is Ji-won arrives. But the reveal happens, and you kind of see Soo-min's face, like, everybody's like, oh my God, is that really Ji-won? Ji-won has made plans to meet up with Hee-yeon, which is, you know, the young lady from the her job that she helped out in the bathroom, who turns out to be a sweetie pie. But on the way, she stops and she's looking at this this window display, and she actually has the earrings that Soo-mi gave her, and she's actually looking at the real ones compared to the ones that she has, and she can clearly see that there's a difference in that. People who are astute will be able to tell there's a significant difference between what she has and the real one. So they're sitting down, they go out to lunch, and Hee-yeon makes a comment about, I'm glad you're drinking, and, you know, it's fun, you know, to come out and just, you know, drink. Because she made a comment about, I know you said you don't drink anymore. And of course, Ji-won's like, when did I say that? And he was like, well, you said that, you know, you stopped drinking because, you know, you made a mistake. Some mistake happened some time ago, and so you stopped. And then Ji-won makes a connection as she was talking, like, well, initially I stopped drinking, but then I started again when I started dating Min-won. So it gives you an inkling as maybe along with the stress and the alcohol coping with her relationship with this man, it's probably what contributed to her stomach cancer that developed. So she starts telling her about the reunion and how she's not sure she's going to go, and how these girls were really mean to her, and she never really understood why. It seemed like it's changed overnight. So Hee-yeon told her that basically she should ask them, like, what's going on. She was like, either they're crazy or they may feel that they have a good reason. And so that's when they started on their journey to create this new Ji-won. So they, Hee-yeon took her to, I guess, her spot where she likes to shop, and Miss Girl got her a new haircut and a new look. So later that night, Hee-yeon stayed over, so she's asleep, and Ji-won gets a text from Mr. Kim, basically saying that he's going to tweak her proposal and that he's going to add Soo-mi to it. So of course she's like, what in the world? And so shortly after that exchange, Soo-mi called her, the timing, and she was asking her like what she had going on, and Ji-won told her that, oh, well, I just, I hung out with Hee-yeon today, and she's actually asleep right now. She stayed over. And you could tell, look on Soo-mi's face, she looked sick. And basically was like, well, why you didn't call me? Then she decided to ask for a favor. And so this favor was, well, would you mind if I took a look at your proposal and edited your proposal? And so because I'm really trying to go from a contractor to permanent. And Ji-won said, well, no, I don't think that's appropriate because it's my proposal. It's my project. But I'll be sure to give you credit for the next idea. And then she set a boundary. Ji-won was like, basically, I don't really like you using my name at work. It's Miss Young. I think his name is Young. And from now on, and there'll be no more bossing me around. Basically, I have more experience than you. I outrank you. And that's going to be that. And so she hung up. And so Soo-mi is standing there like, what in the hell has gotten into her? So shortly after she gets off the phone with Ji-won, she meets up with Mr. Kim, who provides her with the proposal. Okay, because it's just who he is, right? So now comes the day of the evening, I guess, of the reunion. So we already know that Ji-won steps up, decked out, and we finally get to see this new look. And of course, everybody else does too, which is why you can see the expression on Soo-mi's face, because he was expecting the same thing to happen before, where she tricked her. She came in there looking like a bag lady. So she sits down. So Ji-won sits down, and the mean girl starts already about the earrings. So she's commenting about, well, why are you copying Sumi? Why you're even wearing her earrings? And so Ji-won basically, ever so gently kind of brushed her hair behind her ear. And so the guy sitting next to her was like, oh wow, those look nice. That's because she didn't say this, but the attitude was very much, I have the real ones, she has the fake ones. And so, of course, Sumi is sitting there looking like she's going to throw up, right? She's sick. She can't stand not being the center of attention, right? Then we have a flashback of when Ji-won was getting ready, and Hyo was helping her get ready. And Hyo basically peeped game, and she saw those earrings, the fake earrings. She was like, the only reason somebody would give somebody earrings like this, that it clearly looks fake, is to humiliate them. So that's why she, got the real ones. So Ji-won gets up, she goes to the bathroom. Of course, the mean girls eventually find themselves in the bathroom. And in the flashback, you can see the last time this happened, she was in the stall. And they basically forced her out of the stall, right? This time, she came out to meet them. So the first thing that they were talking to her about is, they still was going on about these earrings, about her copying Sumi about these damn earrings. And so she just politely pulled out that card that Sumi left with the gift, at the earrings, along with them fake earrings in the envelope. And so they was like, okay, so they see that. And then she goes on, the mean girl goes on, what about we were in school and she was like, well, what about this guy Minwon, and what about Yuho? And so she was like, wait a minute, first of all, Minwon is my boyfriend. And so, of course, they didn't believe her. And so, of course, she just went on and politely called him. And they chatted a little bit. So it was obvious that they were together. And then I guess something came up about her, about Sumi getting her hired on as a contractor. And so she's just politely pulled out her business card that clearly said she was an assistant manager. She told them that she had been there 7 years. Sumi has only been there 1 year. And so one of the mean girls was like, oh, I do remember that. That sounds about right, because she sent me her resume to edit for her. So she basically, that was pretty much the end of that. And she went on and left the bathroom. So she was going to get her jacket to leave. And of course, they couldn't leave it at that. Then they never got an answer for whatever happened with Yuho. And so the lady was like, well, what about in school when you convinced her to break up with her boyfriend, Yuho? And so of course, you want to stand there like, you and Yuho dated? Like, why'd you never tell me? And so Sumi was like, well, it was a secret. So she was like, well, what are you talking about? And so she was like, well, wait a minute. If I didn't even know you were dating, then how could I be the cause of you guys breaking up? And so you can see the mean girl standing like, okay, well, yeah, something's not adding up. And then Sumi tried to spin a tale like, oh, well, I misspoke before. She tried to come up with some other lie. She was like, it didn't make sense what she was saying. But eventually, shows up and basically tells everybody there that him and Sumi never dated. So now she's sitting there looking like a fool in her cheap earrings, and that looked like the same outfit she wore to the reunion last year. I have to go back and look at the clip, but it's like, girl, you just look a mess. You're just a mess. And so, eventually turns to Ji-won to say, basically he was saying something to the effect of, long time no see. Because Ji-won did have a crush on him in high school, but nothing ever came of it. So I'm assuming in that clip, when he was saying, well, why did you do that? Or why did you say that? Or something, he was actually talking to, Ji-won. But of course, we still don't know what actually happened. So she runs out of the restaurant. So we flash to Mr. Hugh. It's earlier in the day, obviously, and he's sitting down with his grandfather. So his grandfather owns the company, and he's supposed to take over at some point. And so his grandfather's obviously having a conversation with him about marriage. Apparently, I'm assuming that he had already picked out a bride or a woman, a potential mate for him. Probably has to do some business deal or something. I don't know. And he was basically telling him that every successful man needs a partner. And Mr. Yu was telling him that he basically was in love with somebody else, Jiwon. Obviously, he hasn't said that to Jiwon yet. And so, as they parted ways, his grandfather got in his car, and he basically told the guy that was the driver that he wants him to investigate Jiwon to find out, everything he needs to know about her, because he's not feeling whatever's going on here. So then we flash back to the reunion. Jiwon has now left the reunion. Mr. Hugh has pulled up, so he saw her leave, and he's like enamored with her new look. Follows behind her and basically, tries to stop her from so he could talk to her. And then he eventually blurts out that he used to have a crush on her. And so that stunned look on her face is basically how the episode ends, because she was, the woman was too stunned to speak. Is basically what happened. So that is pretty much how this episode ends. I'm going to end it here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.